I've often said a win is a win, a loss is a loss, and there is no in between. There is no gray matter when it comes to gambling. But that doesn't mean some losses aren't more painful than others. Now, last night, my 10 dime best bet was Texas Southern, getting 19 and a half points at Baylor. But I had the mercy killing rule go into effect because when I was down 19 points at halftime, I didn't have to worry about the second half of the game. It was over, it was done with. My money was flown out the window long before the second half tip. Not the case last night with Shawn Michaels, who I happened to use as one of the huge discounted plays last night. Now, you know what Shawn's success rate has been over the past 20 months, making $10 bettors well over $23,000 or $24,000. Well, last night he had a 50-dime play on the NBA on the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets opened up an 18-point lead in the third quarter at Salt Lake. But, of course, the Jazz came back, then the Nuggets came back, and then we had the back door open. And Gordon Hayward launches a three-pointer with 0.8 of a second to go in the game with the Nuggets up by 4, laying 3 to 3.5 points, and it misses, and you're happy until Burks pulls down the offensive rebound and puts in the putback dunk with 0.4 of a second to go. Final score, Nuggets win by 2. We all lose if you happen to be on that play last night with Shawn Michaels. Like I said, some losses are a little more costly in terms of the hair that you may pull out than others. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here. This, of course, is going to be your Tuesday video report. I hope you've all recovered from that snooze fest called the NFL Monday night game between the Dolphins and the Jets last night. Okay. Hey, listen, charity play of the week is going today. Trace Adams, who was on the right side of that total last night, top-rated 1,000 star play on the under, has a top-rated 1,000 star play today. He's Eastern Conference total of the year, Hawks Celtics over under. It's a $99 play. You get it for free as the charity play of the week using coupon code FREE. Steve Budin's Brooklyn College boys, his number one college basketball crew last year in 3 of the past 5 seasons. Remember last year in the postseason, they finished on an 11. Actually, they didn't finish. They went 11-6 between the Big Dance, the NIT, and those minor league tournaments. 11-6 in the postseason with their last play being their Final Four upset call on UConn outright over Florida. Well, tonight they've got their first play of the season, 50-dime college tip-off game of the year. It's your ACC Big East Big Ten Challenge game between NC State and Purdue in West Lafayette, Indiana. Save $70 and get to play for just $29 by using the coupon code Brooklyn. And props going out to Jeff Benton because last night he had a 50-dime winner on the Jets. Tonight, 50-dime winner number 14 out of 21. That's the short-term run. 33 of 54 overall as he goes for winning day number 27 out of 41. But the number that means the most, $10 bettors have won over $20,900 following all of his action, all the sports, since early April. Tonight, NBA Road Warrior Lock. It's the discounted play. Use coupon code Jeff22 and you'll get it for $22, saving $77 off the regular price. Okay, let's get to your complimentary plays here. Let me go back now and talk about the Nuggets. You know, excuse me, the Nuggets started the season just awful because they couldn't play any defense. They were giving up like 111 points a game. And at times there were some whispers early in the season that Byron Scott, he wasn't going to be long for Denver land. But they have since turned the season around, and they've been playing very good ball, although they certainly didn't cover last night. You know, Portland also got off to somewhat of a slow start. I think they only won 2 of their first 5 games. But listen, the Trailblazers have won 10 out of 11, a roll that began with a 116-100 home blowout of Denver back on November 9th. And then 3 nights later in the home series return engagement, they went to Denver, put 84 points on the board in the first half, and rolled 130-113. They are 4-0 on the road during this 10-1 run. Now, it's interesting. The Nuggets, you know, they played last night. They are not the rested team. Meanwhile, Portland is the rested team, having the last 2 days off. I will say this about the Nuggets and their defense. They are playing more defense. Since those back-to-back blowout losses to the Trailblazers, they've actually won 7 out of 8. You know, the interesting thing in this game comes down to this. The Trailblazers are 11-1 this season when they top 100 points. They are 9-1 when they hold their foes to under 100 points. I think you've got a Nuggets team that could have coasted last night but had to be extended to the final minute, coming back home, second of back-to-backs, taking on a rested Portland team that kicked their ass twice already this season, has won 6 in a row in the series, and I think that's why Portland is to play, even though you're laying 3.5 to 4 points in this contest. And let's face it, if the Nuggets had won a little more convincingly last night by a double-digit margin, maybe you would have been getting a point less that you would have been asked to lay here in this particular spot. But you aren't, so you have to live with it. You know what I mean? College basketball. Let me talk about a game that's certainly off everybody's radar. Bradley at home, -3 tonight, taking on Central Michigan. Mainly, I want to talk about Central Michigan because I just like the nickname, Chippewas. I mean, come on. How can you not like the Chippewas? Everybody else is a tiger, a lion, a bear. But here you got the Chippewas. Central Michigan, Chippewas. I'm just thinking, Washington Redskins, everybody up in arms about, but Central Michigan, Chippewas? Okay, not my place to be a political commentator. Listen, Bradley is coming here, taking on a Central Michigan team that is off to a 5-0 start. But all the games were at home, and they were against a bunch of nobodies. Alma, A-L-M-A, A-L-M-A. I don't know what the hell Alma College is, but they beat them in their home opener. They also beat Youngstown State, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Grand Canyon. These aren't Murderers Row. So when I tell you they've averaged 82 points a game and their average winning margin has been 23 points a game and they've shot 48% from the field, should you be surprised? But you really shouldn't be surprised because they're coached by Keanu Davis, former head coach at Drake, who back in the late 2000s, of course, he had his Drake Bulldogs just flying up and down the floor. He believes in offense, and scoring. That's the bottom line. Braves are coming off 57-49 loss to TCU and a 60-57 loss to St. Louis, both games in the weekend tournament in Corpus Christi, Texas. But listen, St. Louis and TCU are far better teams. It should tell you something about this game, that the undefeated team is the 3-point dog because they haven't played anybody and because it's a road opener. So I'm going to go with Bradley minus the points in this spot. Bradley's another one of your selections. This is a stretch play, but I think there's some value in it. You know, I watched the Maui Invitational with a lot of interest last week since I had a couple of big plays in that tournament that I cashed in on each occasion. One of those games happened to be the Kansas State loss in the closing seconds to Arizona. I'd used Arizona the night prior, and then I went against Arizona when they played the night later against San Diego State in the championship game. But in the semifinal game, Kansas State extended Arizona to the very end in a 672-68 loss. And then the very next night, the Wildcats came out and they got humiliated and embarrassed by a Pittsburgh team playing its 4th game in 5 nights, and they hammered them in every aspect of the game, 70-47. So Kansas State goes 1-3 on a road trip with 3 of the games out in Hawaii, and they also lost to Long Beach State as well. So now they're back at home against Manhattan against Nebraska Omaha, and they're laying 14 points. And you're going, who the hell's Nebraska Omaha? Hey, listen, the Mavericks just beat the hell out of Nevada at home, 78-54. Not bad for a game they were down by 1 point at halftime. And they've also played pretty good ball. I mean, they won at Marquette, 97-89. They did lose to Nebraska on the road in Lincoln, 80-67, despite being up 23-7 early in the game. I know that Kansas State was 10-0 last year in the month of December. I know this is just their 3rd home game of the season, and they destroyed Southern Utah and Missouri, Kansas City in the first 2. But I think 14.5 points is a little too much to ask here. I've never been a fan of Bruce Weber either. I just have to put that out there. So I'm going to go with Nebraska Omaha plus the 14 to 14.5 points in this particular spot. One final game for you. Oh, hell, let's talk about this one. The Dallas Mavericks are a 2-point dog against the Chicago Bulls. Listen, they're off to a 2-0 road start, took care of business, winning by 4 at Toronto. Were able to rest Dirk Nowitzki on Saturday at Philadelphia in a 7-point win. They've won 3 in a row since back-to-back losses to the Pacers at home and the Rockets on the road, and they were really bad losses when you consider both teams were missing significant players. I mean, Pacers had none of their 5 starters that started for them last year because of injuries, and because of trades and free agents departing. And the Rockets were, of course, without Dwight Howard, and yet the Mavericks, this deep talented team, lost both of those games. They have won 5 of their last 6, however, on the road. The Bulls return home after a 4-3 road trip. Their last home game, they lost to a depleted Indiana Pacers squad by 9 points. Mavericks averaging a league high 109.1 points a game. They're 13-0 when they top 100 points. They're 0-5 when they don't. I like the fact that Nowitzki was rested. I love the fact that Tyson Chandler has just been playing out of his mind here. Last 5 games, he's averaging over 13 points and 14 rebounds. And let's face it, it's going to be Chandler going up against Noah and Gasol. That is going to be the key matchup. And by the way, just an FYI, is Pau Gasol the best free agent acquisition here of anybody so far this young season? Where would the Bulls be without this guy? I mean, and they really thought that he was just going to be, a fill-in competitor. Sometimes at center, relieving Noah, filling in at the power forward spot as well. I mean, this guy has been really the key contributor on this team from the get-go this season. He definitely has a lot left in the tank. But I like Dallas in this spot. So I'm going to go with Dallas. Don't like them a lot. Like Portland more. College basketball, the favorite of the 2 plays, I would like Bradley a little more at home than I do Nebraska Omaha on the road. Nebraska Omaha, their team nickname, can't think of it. I have no idea. I do have a rule that you can't bet on teams that you don't know their nicknames, so maybe you want to avoid that play on second thought. But anyway, that'll do it. And in case you're on Jeopardy, hey, you're on your own because I can't help you out on this one. Take it easy, guys. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again on Wednesday.